So we go to Statatutorial. We see how we carry out the analysis of ARC and GARCH models. And it is quite simple. It is quite simple. We start by, I have step-by-step illustration here. We start by loading and preparing the data. And step 2, as I obviously say that the second step is obviously or recommended that you must visualize the data. You must see the behavior of the series. So we start by loading and preparing the data. We import the data set. And we also declare the data set as time series. This one is very important step, that each time you import a time series data, you must declare it to be time series. Because we have different types of data. We have the cross-section, we have the time series, and we have the panel data. So whenever you import the time series data, you must declare that. Even if you import the panel data, you also have to declare it to be a panel data, so that the system can understand that the data you are using. Week 6 data. So we import the first row as a variable data. Then you import the data, and then you click here to switch. You see the data. So we have Bitcoin data, and it is quite a long period from 1st January 2020, and it is an actual data. It is a real data from 1st January 2020 all the way to 18th May 2025. So this one is a Bitcoin data of returns. It is a data of return. So we have imported the data. So let's visualize the data. We come to graphics, and because it is a time series data, we go to time series graphs. We go to line. We need to see the line plot. Or sorry, before that, let's declare the data to be time series. I had forgotten that. We come to statistics. We go to time series. We go to setup and utilities. We go to declare data set to be time series data. So here you click the date variable to be the time, and then you click OK. And then now you have set the data to be a time series data, and you can see it has been indicated here. So now we can go ahead and see the visualization graph. Then we click time series plot. We need a line plot, and then the variable that you want to see is Bitcoin. Then you click accept, and then you click OK. It's time to show us the graph. So that is the graph. So you can see the behavior of the returns. They are fluctuating around the mean, and you can see like this period here around the end is actually, it is displaying what you are calling the volatility clustering, times the periods of high volatility being followed by periods of high volatility. At the middle here, we have a periods of low volatility. Yeah. So that is the behavior of the data you have to visualize first. Then you go to the next step. We have visualized the data, and that one is a plot of returns. You can also create another variable, a squared returns, also to visualize the volatility clustering. And you also look at the behavior of the data. We also look at calm and turbulent periods. So then we go to step 3, checking the ARC effects. Checking the ARC effects. So we are saying that before fitting the ARC and GARCH model, we need to test if the volatility is changing over time, what we are calling the heteroscedasticity. Remember, what we are dealing with is the conditional heteroscedasticity. So we have first to test this condition, the first condition, and we said that heteroscedasticity, it means that the variance of the variables are changing over time. They are changing over time. And this is the reason as to why we are not using the ordinary least square method. We are using the ARC and GARCH model. So we have to test this condition. Do we have heteroscedasticity? Because if we don't have heteroscedasticity, then use ARC and GARCH model. We go back to ARS. But if we have heteroscedasticity, then we move ahead with ARCH and GARCH model. The second step is actually to check for ARCH effects. This one actually should be to test for to test for heteroscedasticity. So we are saying you go to statistics, linear model, and one thing that you need to note is that to test for this heteroscedasticity, we first go and learn the OLS model, and then we use the estat command. So we come here and we go to statistics, we go to linear, and we just one variable, we put it as a dependent variable. After getting these results, we apply this command. It is called an estat command. And we carry out what we call the ARC LM test. It is a test for heteroscedasticity. It's an ARC effect test. So we come here, we use our model, we use our test, and we click OK, and we get our results like this. And you can see it is written estimate ARCH LM. So this one a test for is an LM ARC test for heteroscedasticity, and it is written here LM test for autoregressive conditional heteroscedasticity. So the results are displayed here, and we have the null hypothesis here. The null hypothesis says there is no ARC effect. The alternative says there is some disturbance. So what you look is that you look at this p-value. You look at this p-value, and if the p-value is less than 0.05, that is 95% confidence level, you reject the null hypothesis. Otherwise, you accept. You fail to reject the null hypothesis. But for our case, p-value is less than 0.05. Therefore, we go ahead and reject the null hypothesis, and we conclude that we have ARC effect. If we come back to our results interpretation, so this is our results, whatever we had in the previous in our starter output. So since the p-value, which is 0.000, is less than 0.05, we reject null and conclude that we have ARC effects. That means the volatility clustering exists. And because we have ARC effect, then we can proceed to conduct ARC and GARCH models. In case we found otherwise, then we could not proceed with ARC and GARCH effect or GARCH modeling. We could look for other models. But now that this condition has been satisfied, we can proceed with ARC and GARCH model. And that one takes us to the next step, step number 4, test for ARC model. And in this case, we are testing ARC1. So to go for test for ARC model, I have illustrated the steps here. You go to statistic time series, ARC and GARCH, and then you go to GARCH model. So we come back to our software, we go to statistics, we go to time series here, we go to ARC, you select this one, ARC and GARCH, and then you select ARC and GARCH models, you click that one. So this interface will be displayed, and our dependent variable is Bitcoin. So now, if you look clearly here, you will see specify maximum lags. So we just want to check, or you want to run ARC1. And because it is ARC1, the number of lags will be 1. If it was ARC2, it could be 2. ARC3, you put 3. ARC4, you put 4. But for this case, we run ARC1 model. And then after specifying the number of lags and putting the dependent variable to be Bitcoin, then you click OK. And then the results will be displayed like that. And you can see here, it is an ARC family regression. We have the sample from 2020 to 2025. We have the number of observations. We have the log likelihood. You can see it is an ARC of Bitcoin, which is an ARC1. And then we have the results here. So the most important results that we need to look is ARC. If you look clearly, you can see this ARC here, this ARC model. So this one is Bitcoin. This one is just a mean. This results displays the mean of Bitcoin, the changes in the mean of Bitcoin. But our interest is this results here. ARC L1. L1 means lag 1. Remember, we are talking about ARC1. L1 means lag 1. The previous periods shook, and we are interested to see the coefficient, also interested with the p-values. We are interested with the coefficient, and we are interested with the p-values. So this one, this coefficient, we look at the magnitude, and we also look at the sign. Is it negative? Is it positive? Then we also look at p-value to see whether this relationship or this coefficient is actually significant or not. And using this sign, we can interpret the ARC results. So if we go back to our results, so this is the same as what we had in the start output. So we start out this one, the ARC L1. So we have this one is the most output, and also the p-value is also another important output. So in the interpretation is that the constant term, this term here, should be the constant term, the constant term, the first one, 0.0024, this one, represents the average daily return on Bitcoin. Average daily return, approximately 0.25%. So, but our interest is this one, 0.22. So which you are calling the ARC1 coefficient. This one, ARC1 coefficient. I think that ARC1 coefficient, alpha 1, is 0.2257, and the p-value is less than 0.05. The p-value. What does that mean? That ARC1 coefficient, it is positive. You can see it is positive. We note that. And then it is also significant because it is less than 0.05. So what does that mean? One, the significant coefficient confirms the presence of volatility clustering. It means that the the values of Bitcoin, the error terms, they satisfy this volatility clustering. And this is what we observed in our graph here. Here we see volatility clustering. Here we also see some evidence of volatility clustering. So that is what we have observed here, because we have a significant coefficient. The p-value is less than 0.05. That one means that around 22.6% of the last period's squared shock affects the current volatility. Then what does it mean by this coefficient being positive? A positive coefficient. It means positive coefficient means that periods of high volatility in the previous periods are followed by periods of low volatility. It is just a confirmation that they move together. So that is the results for ARC 1 model.